bad animation. Also, functionality-wise, imagine you forget cleaning it up, flips up, and then you got all the stuff getting slapped against an open grating that's exposed with pipes. Now try to clean what's behind that. Imagine you have to get a screwdriver and you have to screw open. No, it's not a screwdriver. Is it a screw? Yeah. You have to screw all of it open just to clean up the next area. Now, why is the light flickering? It's flickering. I'm imagining things. Yeah, it's flickering. Here, you see that? The lighting shouldn't flicker in an industrial ship just because it's industrial. It should flicker if the ship is damaged. Because the lamp installed in the ship doesn't care where it is installed. It's built to function for a certain way. It doesn't come built in with a flicker to get you in the mood for doing construction work. Let's take a look at the Drake Vulture. If you're new to my reviews, review the ship in several categories. First being exterior, then interior, functionality, cockpit, light, and sound. So let's start with the exterior. So if I look at the whole silhouette, I'm sort of torn between I do like the rear part of the ship. I like how it has this smooth plating covering most of the parts. And I like the cockpit like this. What I do not like is the two things in the front. I think they're too big. However, in the whole thing of the ship, I think proportionally it fits into the shape. It's not too bad. I like the front engine intakes. And what I don't like is there's some superficial detail that's too noisy. Like, for example, that circle area. It appears to be on the ship just for the sake of being a cool shape or something, and it doesn't make for good design, I think. They tried some welding seams. Now, it's a nice try, but however, they got to do a lot better. Like if you compare it with welding seams in War Thunder, they look amazing. Those welding seams, they don't look good. I like the cupola shape. The struts make functional sense. See here, it goes down a bit. It's not trying to have too much geometry just to be cool or make it look like it's some sci-fi thing. There's a uncompromising functionality to it. It's not trying to look too quote-unquote sexy. Let's take a look at the lower part of the ship. I parked the ship in this nebula area because I get better FPS and then the landing zones. However, there's a strong amount of lighting bloom over here. I had to roll parts of the ship into the darkness so I can see it better. Okay, it looks alright. However, notice here already there's some weakness with the texturing, and I think it's some laziness by the developers. Notice here the bolts, they have the same color as this thing. Now you could say they got painted in the same color. I think they just use the same material with texture, with the way it interacts with light, just to be done with it sooner. Well, it's a good shape, but the texturing already shows some weaknesses on the outside. It's interesting here that they used circular engines without trying to adapt it to fit the box shape. Could be, I think it's okay, like so that everything isn't like too much forced into a certain design language. Because I notice the texturing is slightly better on the yellow plating than it is below, because I think Drake ships have a general problem, the worst being the Corsair so far, that the texturing is extremely weak on those ships. Like everything looks some weird styrofoam plastic. There's no clear definition between metal, plastic, leather, and other materials like you get, for example, on some of the Crusader ships. You can hear too much busy detail while having the same lazy texture shading on it. See, the plated parts look a lot better. And I think that's because they don't have this excessive geometry just to look cool. They're just plating. They plate what they have to plate because it's their job to, or their purpose to. Yeah, it's not too design language like other ships that are completely lost in it. Which I think this ship had, the exterior was probably painted by a concept artist. And then that's why I think it looks a lot better than some other ships in the game. Okay, so that should be a detailed look at the exterior. There's some areas that look really nice. Like over here, I can't take my eyes off this ship. Also nice detail that you actually can get onto the ship with a ladder from the external area too. What I do not like is that there's no proper airlock. It's just the thing opens, you walk into it. Like it's some industrial machine on Earth. That's not good. Okay, now we can give it a rating for the exterior. Okay, let me get my piece of paper. What is it? Vulture. Okay, exterior. What's the score for the exterior? Okay, the Corsair got a 4 out of 8, 4 out of 10 rather. The Raft an 8, the Cutter 8 out of 10. I think the rear part looks great. I like the canopy, that really saves a lot of it. Like I don't like those front things. I think they're too exaggerated. Well, I think the cupola, I really like that the cupola looks the way it looks. They didn't try too hard to make it echo some other shape. It's like 8 or 9. What should I give it? I mean, I already gave the Raft an 8 and the Cutter an 8. Oh, the Cutter, I think it looks slightly better than the Cutter. Yeah, I give it an 8. I think it's as good as the Raft, but not better than the Raft. But now I regret having given the Cutter an 8 out of 10. Okay, now interior. Now interior is going to be the interior quality of the ship. The general structure, like the exterior. Okay, where's that? First, let's close that thing. Come on, close. At the end of the video, I will go through the audio of the ramp opening and other audio sounds in the ship. Oh, for this part, I'm just going to look at it. I think that it opens too fast. Like a ramp like that should open a lot slower. I think it's a general problem when players keep giving feedback like, okay, it takes too long to get out of a ship. And then the developers design ships after Reddit feedback or Spectrum feedback. And that's a bad idea because then the desire for convenience of the player in that particular moment is being used as a measuring stick of what the ship should be like. However, there are certain frustrations that should be part of the gameplay. Like if you're in a spaceship, it should take you time and effort to get out of it. An opening, an airlock, or a ramp should be a momentous thing that slowly opens and you savor the moment. That's how it should be. Okay, first look at the structure. Texturing is already a bit weak over here. Now, what I do like is the slight asymmetry of the interior. Like what I do like is how the entrance for the next area is over here, and you have this chunky area protruding into this place. What I do not like is that this area is too busy in detail where it shouldn't be. Like that part here should be smooth plating entirely throughout. And then we have the trademark really bad lighting of most Drake ships. Like it's horrific, the lighting is so bad, it's so. But I keep lighting for later in the video. This is going to be a long video, I think. Again, texture is extremely weak, notice here. Doesn't look like metal, it doesn't. It looks like some weird styrofoam. And notice most things in this ship have the same print, like it's the same material, just painted differently. And they seriously got to upgrade this. And some ships actually do it right. Like, for example, the Starlifter is very high quality material definitions. Plastic looks like plastic. Steel looks like steel, and so forth. They even have different types of rubber in the ship. Like, just look at the staircases in the upper levels of the Starlifter, and it's like a catalog of texture and beauty. And this ship here is the opposite of it. Okay, so let's go inside. Now, the second problem here with most Drake ships is the extremely ugly color selection. You have some ugly brown-green and yellow and some gray tones. I think that's a problem with most Drake ships, that whoever is designing the colors here thinks that industrial ship, and then they have this design language creep in their head. Industrial machines, they get dirty because they more construction sites or other environments exposed to various hazards. And then they let that creep into every design decision. Notice the lighting is ombre and rusty. The colors are rusty and ombre, and the whole ship looks like like everything is dangerous. Okay, it makes sense that you have a warning tape, yellow and black over here. However, it doesn't make sense for the ship to have the same color. And you have the same problem in the Caterpillar. Like, they're overloading the interior with the dark gloominess of what they think an industrial machine has. However, if you go to an oil rig, the places where the crews are living, they're beautiful and clean and well-lit places, and they don't have warning colors in the interiors for no reason. Because everything here is in some weird warning color. Notice. That's appropriate warning color to warn you of something dangerous. But why is the entire ship colored in the same thing? But they couldn't have picked an almost uglier color selection than that. And this part looks actually a lot better. Notice here some nice grating. Again, they got lazy with the texturing. Notice here. The screw is the same material as this, and it's the same color. Again, notice here. Exactly the same material, same color, and here's the same indent like that. And everything looks like some weird plastic. The next area. Now, why is the light flickering? It's flickering. I'm imagining things. Yeah, it's flickering. Here, you see that? The lighting shouldn't flicker in an industrial ship just because it's industrial. It should flicker if the ship is damaged. Because the lamp installed in the ship doesn't care where it is installed. It's built to function for a certain way. It doesn't come built in with a flicker to get you in the mood for doing construction work. Okay, lighting is going to be later now. Again, way too much fog in this ship. Okay, the ladder, same problem. Ugly warning colors everywhere. And on the other deck. Okay, it's going to be part of the functionality analysis. Again, really bad texturing, ugly as the night. Again, everything is the same material, just weak texturing. This is supposed to be gun rack. Poor texturing, notice here. Same dirty textures over here. Why does it come pre-greased in this dirt? It shouldn't be like that. Okay, now the living area. Now, structurally, like if you just look at the geometry without the colors or the texturing, it's a compact space, and it doesn't have some excessive angularity, like for example on that, what's the Nomad, like for example the Nomad, where everything has to be sharp angled just because, for some reason. Again, why does light flicker? It shouldn't flicker like that. Imagine spending time in the ship because it's your home in the game. You're flying around in it. Imagine sitting in a room with the light flickering. Okay, so functionally it's an okay space. I think the headspace is a bit too small. Again, too much noisy exposed stuff. Poor texturing all around. Bad coloring too. Yeah, they could fix up so much with just the coloring. Okay, now let's go for the cockpit. Now the cockpit I like. As I mentioned from the outside, the struts, they make sense. They get in your way somewhat, as they should, because it's important for the struts to keep the structure intact of what they're holding together. So some discomfort should be there in terms of looking out of the ship. See, this is too noisy in detail. Again, same texturing problem like last strip. Notice here, everything is the same material, just different colors. Okay, now the cockpit dashboard is going to be in a separate score. So now let's rate the interior. So interior is mostly interior geometry and texture and quality. Look at the Corsair, got a 3 out of 10. This one's better than the Corsair because the Corsair was a real screw up because the textures on the doors were so bad. So the interior, structurally, it's actually quite good. Like the proportions of the rooms. Like notice here that the way the stuff is fitted into the walls makes sense. But the coloring really drags it down. So I give it a 4 out of 10. Ah, come on. 4 out of 10. Okay. Now the next category is functionality. Like how much interactive gameplay you can do with that ship. And I'll keep the actual salvage stuff probably out of the video because I'll make a separate video about salvage gameplay. But it's more about the in-ship interactive components and what you can do with them in terms of quality. Let's go down to the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, the door opens too fast. What I do like is that it doesn't have a stupid elevator entrance. You know, like these elevators that go from one end of the ship that double as an elevator and an exterior airlock. I hate that in games. However, I think they only avoided that by pure luck, from my perspective, pure luck, because they added an exterior entrance that goes right into the cockpit. Which I think was a bad idea because it shouldn't be as easy to get into a spaceship like that as it is to get into a tractor or some type of excavator machine. Because for this to be a space game, it demands for proper airlock procedure getting in and out. That's one of the most important things in a spaceship for me. In a video game spaceship. Now in terms of functionality, okay, you have light switches that actually do work, that's nice. You have door locks. Now what it doesn't have is door sensors that keep the door locked, open or closed. I keep asking for ships to have that because what's extremely annoying in ships right now is that you stand in front of a door, you don't want it to open, how it does open. And sometimes you want it to open, but it's opening too late. What they should do is just make all door manual control. So you stand in front of it, you push the lever, it opens up, and it stays open until you come back and close it again. It would remove so much frustration from ships in this game. Now there's a functional thing in this ship, which is, in case you don't know it yet, if you salvage, and the internal salvage tank, or whatever the storage is for that ship, it's full, then it will automatically put out a large box that fits through that here, which you then can use a tractor beam with and transport it or stack it in the ship. And you can set it to auto, it's over here, auto eject when full, off on. And there's a further functionality here is that you can create. You can spawn a multi-tool and attachments. Now I really hate that feature. Not because it adds functionality to the ship. Adding functionality to the ship is great. However, the ship shouldn't spawn required tools on the go for the player in case he forgot it. That should be something the player thinks of and goes to a city to buy it and keep it on his body and doesn't forget to bring it. That's part of the gameplay planning for missions, how the game spoon feeds every possible type of helper system to you. Like imagine you having a battleship or a combat ship that just can just spawn out guns. It would be stupid. Oh, I do like the UI. It's clean, it's readable, but for the most part, this part over here is almost unreadable. It's a clean font. I like that, having some type of machinery in the ship that you can interact with monitors and some physical objects going on. So that's, I think, really nice. Okay, nothing to see here in terms of functionality. Then you have a suit locker or clothing locker, whatever that might be. Look at the functionality. I do like that it slowly slows down and then latches closed. And I'll do a separate review at the end of the video about the audio for that part. Now when it opens, notice the animation is not good enough. It just opens and immediately goes down. It should come to an arresting point where it just rattles for a moment and then pushes back in. Like it goes back, rattles, and then pushes in. Like it does when it closes, see? Closes, and it goes in. However, it's a bit exaggerated the way it pops out again and then goes in. You have a weapon rack. Now the component hatches, they're functioning, that's nice. That's straight up laziness, like what the hell. Like they modeled that, they had a model artist do that in probably 10 minutes. And of course, because he's in a hurry, because apparently everybody at CIG is, or they're lazy, everything has the same texture, notice here. Just so you can slap down the same material and nobody notices if you have bad UV mapping. How do I close that thing again? And notice it closes way too fast. Yeah, they got really lazy over here, notice that. Like one of the most basic ways to close it. And the interior looks ugly. I mean at least it's a functional hatch, but the quality of the animations, it's really not good. This one out. I want this one. I think that new icon probably means you can't open it yet. Okay, at least it tells you can't open this one yet. That's nice. We have here battery access. Okay, it doesn't work either. Gravity generator doesn't work either. This, I guess, some food dispensing machine. What do we have here? Lighting switch, do they work? Okay, nitrators do work. You know, imagine how amazing it would be if we could just lock it open. Okay, the bed, it's functional, that's nice. Then the toilet. See, that's a better animated toilet seat. However, they got lazy with the second door. Notice how the second door flips behind and goes like that. How do I close it again? Yeah, that's stupid. Notice the button is, oh wait, it's on the inside, is it? It's a pretty dumb way to design it though. If the access point disappears into that point, it should be up here, somewhere on the outside. Because now you have to reach onto the inside to close it again. That's just stupid. Here, toilet. Bad animation. Also, functionality-wise, imagine you forget cleaning it up. Flips up, and then you got all the stuff getting slapped against an open grating that's exposed with pipes. Now try to clean what's behind that. Imagine you have to get a screwdriver, and you have to screw open. No, it's not a screwdriver. Is it a screw? Yeah. You have to screw all of it open just to clean up the. No, can't even sit on it. It was an accident. Okay, more access points. Yep, see, they got lazy again with the animations here. What should happen is it would slap down, then rattle a bit, and then move in. Like there should be some inertia to the animation, because it looks like it's like the thing has no weight at all. Notice, it's an object without any inertia. Yeah, they got lazy on this one. Is there any functionality in the cockpit? No, that's not open yet. Now here's the thing, you can actually lock the cockpit shut. Makes sense. Huh. Is that actually a lock open button? Right. It's not locked, is it? Yeah, that's confusing. Okay. Now keep the actual salvage being gameplay out of this ship review, because it's a separate thing, because I think other ships are going to get salvage too, so it shouldn't be part of the core review of that ship. Okay, now let's take a look at the functionality. Oh, let's write the score of functionality. Okay. It's functionality-wise, I gave the Corsair 5 out of 10. I think one of the reasons was it sucked for the most part. However, it had these really nice World War II levers for the elevator buttons. That was really nice. And the quality of all those flip-out panels is actually quite lazy, I would say. In terms of functionality, it's like if all those systems would have been better animated, And if the doors would actually have proper door locks that could lock a door open, I think it would look a lot better. However, right now the functionality, I would give it a 3 out of 10. If they would improve the quality of the animations and the things that open, it would be a 5 or 6. So it's 3 out of 10. Yeah, 3 out of 10. Okay, now we go to cockpit. The cockpit is layout and geometry, the way the cockpit looks as you're flying it. Okay. Now, first impression, the texturing is really bad, but that's already, I've talked about it a lot in the video already. Well, it extends to the cockpit quality. Let's look at the structure of the layout first. I do like that it is somewhat conservative. It doesn't slap too many MFDs in your face. For example, it keeps the lower part of the screen empty. You have to look down to actually look at certain controls. I think that's a good thing. Even if you're not using track R, I'm not using track R right now. You can just hold Y or Z, depending what type of keyboard you have, and just look down quick. And the view is quite nice, having like the outer structure imposing like that on the side. What I do not like is the lamp in your face up here. That shouldn't be like that. And those weird controls that appear to have no function in the game, but they're still here for some reason. That should be just a smooth plating if the player can interact with it. Now texturing again is really bad. You can see here, again, same bland texturing, all the shortcuts and laziness here. I like that they made this one a really small MFD. That's a really nice touch. And it has its own way it's attached to the cockpit. Look at close up. But again, the texturing geometry is really poor. Notice here, everything is the same material. And notice here, the material is thicker than it should be. And notice the thing holding it is made from really primitive geometry they probably slapped together in a few minutes. Like if you look at cockpits in DCS and some planes, those things will be much smaller and have their own detailed texturing, because stuff up here might not seem important. However, that's more important than most parts of the ship. Now, why would I say that? Because stuff that's in front of your face all the time while you're flying needs to have the highest possible quality of textures. It's the same like in video games and other games, racing games. The steering wheel needs to look absolutely beautiful and highly detailed, because it's in front of your face all the time. I mean, at least they put like different mountings for each of the MFDs. That's, I think, a really nice touch. So they put more effort in than some other ships. Again, gigantic flashlight in your face, like really bad idea. I do like that they didn't compromise, like they didn't make it too convenient for the player to look out of the ship. There's some blockage. I think that's good, because structural integrity is more important than player having a good view. With the lower part. Okay, there's some good detail in here. Again, texturing sucks really bad. Screws the same color as the plating. That should be different colors, different materials, different. That part needs to be much, much thinner up here. You see here, notice here the material, the same bland, ugly, weird, plasticky styrofoam. You can see like at which point the model artist started to cut corners to get it done so. Okay, now I do like these side panel thingies. Nice shape. Again, texturing really bad here. Some bass noise texture they're using. Well, the labels are quite readable, really nice. Nice flip switch geometry. Notice here they actually put some effort into that. That looks really nice. I think it's a bit cartoony. I think some of the switches look larger than they should be. The joysticks are exceptionally ugly. Ooh. Those must be the ugliest stick in the entire game. Okay. You know, you get some nice space to look down, because it's like an industrial ship where you can see down what you're landing. That's I think, a really nice touch. Okay, I like that it's asymmetrical. They didn't just copy-paste the enter button row over there. It's actually asymmetrical in the way the buttons are arranged. So what score should I give the cockpit experience? Now the Corsair gave the cockpit experience of 8 out of 10. Because it really had the flight sim cockpit instruments and the little ventilator and all that. They put some good effort into it. However, this one is not as good. It's not really bad. It's not catastrophically bad, except for the texturing and the modeling of the geometry over here. I mean, the cockpit is it's average, slightly below average, I would say. I would give it a 4 out of 10. Like if the texturing and the model quality would be better, and like it's basically that whole, hey, I'm gonna model a few boxes just to be done sooner and slap some basic texture on it. So that's the problem. Okay, now cockpit 4 out of 10. Okay, now what's next? Lighting. Okay, lighting. I'll go backwards from the cockpit, so I don't lose too much time. Now, lighting is the way the place is lit. The lighting sucks so far in the cockpit. Now, you don't notice on the instruments that it sucks. It's when you look up, giant fat lamp in your face. This is just a bad idea. Now, you can't even see from the lighting in your face what those buttons do because it's all exposed. Like, don't shine a giant lamp into the player's face if he wants to read buttons up there. And the whole room still looks so washed out in terms of lighting quality. Well, I like how they asymmetrically actually flip out. That's very nice. Okay, now lighting here, again, too washed out. I do like that the lighting is integrated into this ceiling thing area. However, it's too spotty, the lighting, and it's too washed out. Like there's no clean defined light sources, and it's too ombre. We got 2 lighting settings, so that's nice. But it's too ombre. Why does it have to be ombre? Why not use green? They should use like a beautiful green like in the Pisces or in the upper deck of the raft has some really good lighting. It doesn't have to be ombre because it's an industrial ship. Okay, it shouldn't be. The lighting should be detached from the industrialness of the ship. Again here, okay, now that's the emergency or the second lighting setting. The normal one. I like it's a bit white, cleaner, but it's notice lighting is better in this room. It looks more defined. Yeah, let's put this one on so I can see it from the outside. Yeah, too washed out, and lamp shouldn't flicker. It should just not flicker because it's an industrial ship. Like imagine you're sitting in the ship, planning for a mission, sorting your guns, doing whatever, and light just keeps flickering. That's very irritating. Again, too washed out. Like there's no clean defined source and too many spotty small light sources. Completely washed out in this room. Like completely washed out. Okay, not good. Then we go down here. Everything looks like it's covered in chrome. And the lighting is too... yes, again, same washed out. Now, if you want to see a nice comparison, go into the Starlifter on the raft. The lighting is absolutely beautiful in those ships. And they should take this as a model. Like, for example, remove all those light sources. Just have one gigantic light source and have that light most of the room. Because in real life, a lamp of that size would, an average office lamp you have with the ceiling, would light out most of the room like that. Maybe some colder green tinted lighting would be nice. Okay, so lighting. I mean, the Corsair got only 3 out of 10. I remember the Corsair was really bad. Yeah, this one is lighting. Yeah, 3 out of 10. It's a general problem with Drake ships. 3 out of 10. Okay, what's the next category? Sound. Now, for sound, I have high hopes because generally, now I have to put my earphones on a bit better. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's start from the outside. Okay. Sounds a bit generic. It's missing like a hard sound at the end when it cracks closed. Yeah, the audio doesn't fit the ramp. See if the component hatches have nice sounds. Here nothing. I hear no sound. You hear that industrial washing machine sound, it's a bit too noisy. That's not good. Like, it should be like a soft background hum on the ship. There shouldn't be like this point sound of some noisy industrial machine just going on like that. That sound. Okay, the opening sound sounds good, but when it goes in here, there's no sound to it. That's bad. And no sound when the hatch is closed. And this one isn't actually correctly timed to that thing over here. Not good. Okay. Notice when it closes, it actually isn't actually matching. Listen. Notice that ratchet sound. It should play a bit later when it's almost closed. The timing is off on this one. And it's the same sound in this one. Notice it's a different material, different door, different size, different cavity inside, and it still sounds the same. That's laziness. Okay. Now the door sounds. Solid. Now I like the interior background sound in here. Now that's without the engines being on. That's just power. It's a bit too loud. Oh, it would be a lot, maybe 10, 15, 20 decibels lower. So I can barely hear it, that would be okay. Okay, that weird pinging sound shouldn't be there. Okay, now it's listen to the flying sounds. Notice that sound is a stock sound they had for another ship that doesn't actually fit the... Notice when you go into the door, the end sound of the rotator is about 2 seconds before it reaches the end. Notice it doesn't fit. Let's try again. Listen. Notice that doesn't. It's actually not correctly timed to the mechanism moving. Okay, that's that sound. Let's try again. Now listen. You hear that when it ratchets in, it's about still 20 degrees away. It's over here when it ratchets like that's not correctly timed for it. Okay. What's the tone on the engines? Sounds a bit too sci-fi, but it sounds good. It sounds good. And it should be more filtered to the engine, because if you are pilot in here, come on, if you're a pilot in the center of the ship, everything that's coming out of the rear part of the ship should be filtered through the hull. And I said it in many videos, I wrote feedback about it, and I think some of the feedback made it into the game, because some of the engine sounds in the ship actually sound really nice. They really filtered through the hull. Okay, so that's first maneuvering sounds. Crispy, rockety, sounds good. Crispy and rockety. I think it should be a bit more filtered, a bit more behind the player. Now for a roll. I think the rolling sounds in ships have too much character. I like the sound some robots trying to talk to you. Oh, and this one, they tone it a bit down. I think that's nice. Okay, now I'm going to look at the start sounds. Okay, now, what I really find annoying, and almost every ship has that, when you press W, there's this hissing like cigarette lighter going on, this sound. That's really irritating. They should skip that because it sounds like it's in the cockpit next to your ears. It's not filtered through the horn. However, the sound after that, the engine roar, hear that? That's a beautifully crisp roar that's filtered through the structure. That sounds great. That's a really good audio. Now let's slow down. I don't like that. It sounds like some weird sci-fi droning sound, and it ramps up the more you hold it. It's also stupid. That sounds too artificial. It should sound like thrusters that go in reverse in the other direction. Basically, thrusters just another thruster. Okay, now go up. Too much character. Sounds too hollow, too rhythmy. Like it's weird that all thrusters should sound like thrusters of different sizes. They shouldn't have some weird sci-fi touch to them. Left. That's too much droning in it. Try roll. I think, did I go through all the audio sounds? Yeah, I think there should be all the audio sounds. Let's try with shift. A bit too aggressive. Oh, what I really do like sound, as you're flying, you hear that beautiful classic, sounds like Starship Enterprise, the Next Generation background hum. See, that's how ships should sound in flight. That's the ideal background humming. The external. And this almost nothing to hear on the outside. See, that's how space should sound on the outside. There should be nothing, just pure vacuum of space. That itself is a sound, like not hearing anything in space. Because there's often discussion in the form, like there should be sound in space. Say there shouldn't. Just replicate reality and it's going to be beautiful. Of course, if I now start the engine, you will hear something. See that vast emptiness of space and not hearing anything on the outside. Yeah, I think that should be audio. How good is the audio? Now it's like the basic thrust sound from flying forward is great. Okay, if all other sounds would be that quality, it would be 9 out of 10. However, some other sounds really suck ass. Like for example, the different component hatches, they don't match the object being moved, which means they're not correctly timed to the object. And they don't match the material. They're copy-pasted between different objects who have different sizes and volumes behind them. So that's not good. And the rolling and other flying sounds, they have too much drony character to them. And the background humming is great. So in terms of audio, like for example, the raft I gave, the cutter got the sound 9 out of 10. Because the audio was really great in that ship. Okay. I'm torn between 5 or 6 for audio. Like they have one really great sound, but the rest of the sound's not really up to it. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Okay, so what's the final score? Okay, final score is 4.5.